Step into the Hallow Grove, our newest Ghost Light episode. Ancient rituals, lost time, and a circle of trees that remembers your name. Headphone
Welcome
listen
back
if you
to
dare.
Ghost Light.
Video cassette
Tales
trust
from Alberta's
nothing
shadows.
with antlers. I'm
The
Renee.
Grove is already
and
inside.
tonight,
Ghost
we leave
Light
the crumbling
Podcast.
buildings and haunted halls behind and step into something older, deeper, wilder. This is the Hallow Grove. Just outside the town of Nordegg, nestled deep in the forest, lies a clearing the locals avoid. No trails, no signs, just silence, and a perfect circle of trees bent inward as though bowing to something in the center. They call it the Hallow Grove. MS Frida McDermott, local folklorist. Old folks said settlers stumbled across it in the 1890s. A natural circle with soil so black it looked burned. There were markings, symbols no one could read. And bones. Always bones. Host. Campers claim strange dreams after sleeping nearby. Visions of dancing figures and antlers. Voices whispering from tree roots. Time moving differently. One hiker swears he walked in at noon and emerged after dark, though his watch said just 20 minutes had passed. Sound effects. Ticking watch distorted. Whisper loop. Legends say the land belonged to something ancient. That long before settlers came, people left offerings, milk, salt, teeth, to keep it calm. But over time, the rituals were forgotten. And the grove never forgot. Witness. Trembling voice, I heard it breathing. No animals, no wind. Just breath. Like the forest itself was alive. Watching. A diary found near the grove reads, the trees bend closer each night. I cannot sleep. Last night, something called my name, not aloud, but inside me. The author was never identified. Sound effects, crack of wood, deep in human hum. So if you find yourself pulled toward a clearing no map shows, turn around. Don't step into the circle. Don't speak. Whatever still stirs beneath the roots of the Hallow Grove is listening. You've been listening to Ghost Light. Outro music, layered whispers fade into forest silence. The Hallow Grove, a tale of superstition, forgotten rituals, and the silent things that dwell in the dark. Intro music, layered whispers, low drumming heartbeat, wind through dry branches. Welcome back to Ghost Light, Tales from Alberta's Shadows. I'm Renee, and tonight, we leave the crumbling buildings and haunted halls behind and step into something older, deeper, wilder. This is the Hallow Grove. Sound effects, rustling leaves, snapping twig, distant birds fleeing. Just outside the town of Nordegg, nestled deep in the forest, lies a clearing the locals avoid. No trails, no signs, just silence, and a perfect circle of trees bent inward as though bowing to something in the center. They call it the Hallow Grove. Locals say it pulls on you, not with force but with memory, like deja vu of a place you've never been. MS Frida McDermott, local folklorist. Old folks said settlers stumbled across it in the 1890s. A natural circle with soil so black it looked burned. There were markings, symbols no one could read. And bones. Always bones. The settlers built homes nearby, at first. But even strong hands can't build peace over something ancient. Campers report strange dreams after sleeping nearby. Visions of dancing figures and antlers, voices whispering from tree roots, time moving differently. One hiker swears he walked in at noon and emerged after dark, though his watch said just 20 minutes had passed. Sound effects, ticking watch distorted, whisper loop. There's a local tale. A boy named Ellis went missing in the 1940s after chasing a dog into the woods. They never found either, but every spring, flowers bloom in a ring where he was last seen. Tiger lilies, not native to Alberta. And in 1997, a storm knocked out power for miles, except one house that backed onto the forest. Their lights stayed on, flickering in unnatural pulses. The family moved a month later. They wouldn't speak of what they saw in the trees. Legend's voice, layered, shifting tone. Long before settlers came, the land belonged to something ancient. Offerings, milk, salt, teeth, were left at the edge to keep it calm. But time makes people forget. And the grove? It never did. Witness. trembling voice. I heard it breathing. No animals. No wind. Just breath. Like the forest itself was alive. Watching. I left a rabbit skull there once, thinking it might appease whatever lurked. Next morning it was gone, replaced with feathers. Wet ones. Host. A diary found near the grove reads, "The trees bend closer each night. I cannot sleep. Last night, something called my name, not aloud, but inside me." The author was never identified. The paper looked newly written, but carbon dated to 1921. Sound FX, crack of wood, deep in human hum. Host quietly. There's one story, whispered most often in winter. A woman named Rosa followed her dog into the forest and found the grove, though she didn't know it then. She said the air felt thick, like syrup, that she stepped into the clearing and felt seen. She described a figure. Tall, horned, not deer antlers, older, more twisted. Its face was wrong, asymmetrical. It didn't move, yet it shifted. Its eyes had no light, only depth. Rosa woke up 3 days later in her bathtub, water ice cold, with soil beneath her fingernails. The dog returned weeks later. It wouldn't bark anymore. M.S. Frederick, retired forest warden. There's wildlife in those woods that don't match any classification. I've seen a fox with a second jaw under its throat, humming like a machine. I watched a crow unravel mid-flight. Just came apart like string. Something's wrong there. You can feel it. Host. Sometimes, late at night, if the wind dies and the woods fall too quiet, something hums. Not loud. Just enough to fray the edges of sleep. An audio engineer once tried recording the silence around the grove. He captured voices he couldn't place. His final project, titled Beneath Bark, won awards. He refused to talk about it. He moved to Australia. Said he needed more distance. Sound FX. Layered whispers rising. Some say the Hallow Grove is a doorway, not to another world, but to a memory, a ritual memory, the kind buried so deep in land and bone it never truly fades. If you find yourself pulled toward a clearing no map shows, don't step into the circle. Don't speak. Don't listen. Whatever stirs beneath the roots of the Hallow Grove remembers, and it does not forgive. You've been listening to Ghostlight. Stay out of the shadows. Intro music, layered whispers, low drumming heartbeat, wind through dry branches. Welcome back to Ghostlight, Tales from Alberta's Shadows. I'm Renee, and tonight, we leave the crumbling buildings and haunted halls behind. We step into something older, deeper, wilder. This is the Hallow Grove. Sound FX, rustling leaves, distant crows fleeing, snap of a dry twig underfoot. Just outside Nordegg, Alberta, nestled deep in a forest with no trails and no signs, lies a clearing no one speaks of directly. The air is still, the birds stay away, and the trees form a perfect circle, bent inward, like they're bowing to something in the center. They call it the Hallow Grove. Locals whisper about it in bars, in basements, between bites at the diner. Not as a joke, but the way one shares bad weather. M.S. Frida McDermott, clip, elderly voice, folklorist. My gran used to say you don't walk toward places that feel like memory. She said settlers found it in the 1890s, a ring of soil so black it looked burned. There were markings in the dirt. No one could read them. And bones. Always bones. There are no official records. Only folk journals, community letters, and oral accounts too odd for history books. But the pattern is clear. Campers near the grove wake with strange dreams, figures in antlers dancing just beyond the firelight. One hiker swears he entered the woods at noon and emerged after dark. His watch? It read 12:23. Sound FX, ticking watch layered with distorted whispers, brief reverse heartbeat sound. Folklore says the land belonged to something ancient, long before settlers, before even the nations that named the rivers and mountains. People left offerings, salt, milk, teeth. Something wanted to be remembered. Over time, the rituals were lost. But the grove? It never forgot. Sound FX, deep hum, slow creaking of bending wood. Witness voice, clip, trembling male voice. I heard it breathing. Not animals, not wind, just breath, like the forest itself was alive. Watching me, I didn't run. I couldn't. Part 2, Roots in the Mind. Music, scratchy cello drone, layered whispers in unknown tongues, deep pulsing static. Welcome back to Ghost Light. Tonight's descent into the Hallow Grove continues. A clearing few speak of, and even fewer leave unchanged. In this segment, we follow the thread of obsession. A researcher named Thomas Rill, who claimed he could decode the Grove's markings. But sometimes decoding is just opening. Sound effects, soft page turns, eerie ticking. Rill was an archivist and cryptographer, contracted in 2012 to digitize early settler maps around Nordegg. He found more than cartography. He found pages blackened with symbols, cyclical, antler-like curves woven into tree shapes. He published just one article before vanishing, titled, "A Forest That Thinks." His notes described dreams, rings of watchers, and phrases that came unbidden. Bark as veil, root as memory, circle as mouth. Dr. Tayo Mensah, Clip, fellow researcher. Thomas started drawing in circles, obsessive loops, hundreds per day. He said they weren't symbols, they were instructions. Then he stopped speaking in English. Just sounds, like breath through wood. Rill visited the Grove just once. Park records confirm a single trail camera snap, him entering the tree line. What followed was silence. No exit timestamp. No cell activity. 3 months later, a package arrived at the university. Inside, soil. Feathers. A recording. Sound effects. Cassette click. Then low ambient hum with faint layered whispers. Thomas RHYL. Archival audio. Asterisk. The Grove is not a place. It is pattern. We stepped out of it long ago. Asterisk. His voice was raw. Changed. His sister said it no longer sounded like him. She refused to keep the recording. Rill was declared legally missing in 2016. But each year, near the solstice, his university mailbox receives an envelope. Unmarked. Empty. Always sealed with bark. Sound effects. Wind howl through roots. See. The Grove symbols. His notes suggest a language not built for human minds. He stopped recording his findings after one entry. The roots know me now. Part 3. Beneath the Circle. Music. Sparse piano notes layered over low wind and rhythmic breathing. You're listening to Ghost Light. In this final chapter of our journey through the Hallow Grove, we trace the story of one person who did not turn away. His name was Jordan Fallow, a student, skeptic, and photographer, until the Grove blinked at him and he blinked back. Sound effects, vintage camera click, leaf crunch underfoot, tape rewind. Jordan had heard stories his whole life. He grew up in Nordegg, but he didn't believe them. He believed in exposure, aperture, angles. He walked into the forest on a fog-thick afternoon with 2 cameras and a thermos of coffee. Only one camera made it out, and it held no photographs. Just one recording. Jordan Fallow, archival clip, voice shaking. Asterisk, they were waiting. Not watching, waiting. The trees moved like breath. I stepped into the circle. I shouldn't have, but something wanted me to. Asterisk. He described silence, so complete it felt like sound turned inside out. That the moment he entered the ring, every part of him felt heavy, like thoughts were being held in place. He said he saw figures, not shadows. Shapes, antlers, limbs, something carved from wind and root. They danced. Not joyfully, not violently, just rhythmically, like the earth had a heartbeat. Sound effects, distant rhythmic thump, pulsing drumbeat fading into whisper loops. Jordan left behind a journal, half written, half drawn. The symbols matched those Rill had decoded, but some are new, repeating across every page like mantras. I am within. It is without. We both wait. Witness, neighbor, clip. I saw him after. He was changed. Not sick, not mad, just absent. Like his voice was still somewhere in those trees. Jordan spoke of a ritual. He followed the old settler instructions. Buried salt in threes, carried light without flame. When he spoke memory instead of mouth, the dancing stopped. And the ground opened. Only for a moment. He said he saw eyes. Beneath the soil. Not human. Not animal. Just aware. Sound effects, cracking roots, rumble beneath earth, would strain. Host soft. He returned. But not entirely. He stopped sleeping. His photographs became circles. Over and over. One final entry reads, "The Hallow Grove is not haunted. It is hungry. We are not its fear, we are its memory." Jordan vanished a month later. His camera mailed to a folklore institute in Red Deer. The memory card was blank, but the battery never drained. Host pause. Tonight's tale isn't fiction. It's testimony. A forest with memory is not myth. It is boundary. And boundary, when crossed, changes the shape of what we are. So, if the woods go quiet, if your breath feels borrowed, if a circle of trees bends inward, toward you, don't enter. Don't listen. The grove is already inside. This has been Ghost Light. Tales from Alberta's shadows. Stay safe. Stay bright. And whatever you do, don't follow the rhythm. Outro music. Slow fade of whispers, heartbeat drone tapering off into wind.